So it's about 6 a.m. here in New York City, and I have a bunch of errands to run today. One of those errands is picking up a Grail watch from Watchbox here in New York. So I'm going to be heading to New York City. The new location is on 5th Avenue, I believe. So I'm going to be heading there and picking up a Grail watch from a friend of mine, Nick, who works at Watchbox. So come along with me. So I've already run a bunch of errands today, and now I am getting to the one that I've really been waiting for. I'm heading to Watchbox finally. So it is around 10 a.m. already. I'm running really late. So let's head over to Watchbox and check out my new watch. I've been collecting watches for over 25 years, and one of the watches that have always been on my list is a Perpetual Calander, and specifically I wanted an IWC Perpetual Calander chronograph, and today I finally have one to show you. But it's not just any IWC Perpetual Calander chronograph, it's mine, which is really exciting, and also it's a really special Ingenieur version that gets a digital display for the Perpetual Calander, and that chronograph is a Flyback Chronograph. But that's not the only details about this watch that make it special. So let's flip the camera and take a look at my new IWC Ingenieur Perpetual Calander digital display Flyback Chronograph. I've always wanted an IWC Perpetual Calander chronograph in my collection, and originally I was looking at the GST, which is the sort of a sports model that they've had around for quite some time. That is a discontinued model from IWC. It's a sports model, so I think it gets about 150 meters of water resistance, something like that. But they do make a moon phase Perpetual Calander chronograph, and they always were very affordable on the secondary market and the used market. Around $7,000 is what you could have picked one up for. Recently, prices have gone up on that watch. This was somewhat unattainable. I've seen it a few times. One time there was one on eBay. They're very, very rare. I saw one that was on eBay. It was in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, and I was mesmerized by this watch when I first saw it. Obviously, that stuck in my brain. I saved that search. I do that a lot on eBay, and I hadn't seen one come up in a very long time. And then recently, one hit, and I was really excited to see it hit, and I pulled the trigger on it. Here it is. So I did get this from Watchbox here in New York. Nick is a friend of mine. He actually works at Watchbox. I reached out to him when I saw that they had this for sale on eBay, and then we were able to work something out, and I bought it directly from Watchbox here in New York City, and I am really excited about this watch. The condition is excellent. This thing is almost brand new. It is beautiful. So let me go through the specs on the watch, then I will throw it on my wrist, and we'll talk about price. We'll do a loom shot. We'll talk about all of it. So let's start with the specs, because the specs on this watch are very, very impressive. So this is a black dial watch. As you can see, it's sort of black and white. You have sapphire discs for each one of the Perpetual Calander registers. Now I call them registers, but they're really not. They're displays. So this is a digital display for the Perpetual Calander. You have the month right here. It's a big month. And then you have the date right there. It's a big date. Then you have a leap year right here. That's it. So that's all you're getting for the Perpetual Calander, but it is a Perpetual Calander, and it is a digital display. So that's really hard to do, and it's a digital display for all three of the displays that they're showing for the Perpetual Calander. Other IWC models usually have the year. This does not get the year. And they have a moon phase sometimes. Obviously, this does not have a moon phase. Down at the 6 o'clock register, you also get, besides the leap year, and actually does say leap year right there in white. It's a little bit too much for me, but other than that, I think that's the only complaint I will have about this watch. Above that, it says Ingenieur, and then there is a running seconds at the 6 o'clock. At the 12 o'clock position, the register that is there, that gets the counters for the chronograph. And the chronograph on here is a Flyback chronograph. and the pushers are made out of ceramic. And just listen to the action on this chronograph. It is really amazing. The click that comes from here is extremely satisfying. One of the best clicks that I have ever heard from any chronograph. And when it starts running, obviously these registers will kick in. So, well, I say these registers, really it's just one register and it has hour and minutes display right there. Then you have running seconds and then obviously the chronograph seconds hand. So lots going on the dial. It's busy, but it's still legible. Applied indices, those are filled with lume. Some of the indices are cut off, and then there are some completely missing. Anything that is there has lume, and then the hands have lume as well. I believe just the hour minute hand have lume, and then maybe the running seconds at 6 o'clock. I don't remember, but we will do a lume shot at the end. I did mention that the pushers are ceramic, the crown guards ceramic, and then the crown itself is ceramic. The screws that are going into the bezel, those are ceramic as well. And this is a grade 5 titanium case. You get a flat sapphire crystal with really good AR coating, as you can see. And you have these smoked sapphire dials, sub-dials on the dial itself. I wish that certain elements were lume. They decided not to lume them, which is a little bit disappointing. And here is the case back. The movement on here is phenomenal. There's a lot of depth to it. It's obviously a thick movement because it is a chronograph movement and a digital display perpetual calendar. So putting that all into one movement, obviously it's going to be thick. It's also a flyback, so I'll show you that functionality in just a second. Obviously you have a scruting case back, scruting crown, 120 meters of water resistance. So you're getting a lot with this watch. You also get a special sort of proprietary, and I'll do a close-up of it. It's just a little button here. You press that button, the strap comes right off. It obviously just comes with one strap anyway, but I think they make other straps for this, maybe a fabric strap, something like that. It's an Ingenieur. So if you are not familiar with the Ingenieur, the original Ingenieur was designed by Gerald Genta. So technically this is a Gerald Genta design that has sort of evolved over time and grown in a lot of ways. I owned, and I am saying owned here because I did trade this watch in against this watch, and it was one of my favorite watches that I've had for a very long time. It was my IWC Ingenieur Mission Earth, which is around 45 millimeters, and I've actually never measured this watch. It's about the same size as that watch, but it is thicker. So I'm gonna do quick measurements right now, then we'll throw it on my wrist and we'll do a very quick lume shot. So at the bezel, this is just about 46 millimeters. So it's 45.8 millimeters, somewhere around there. With the crown guards, obviously you're gonna get a larger measurement. It's pretty deceiving though. It does not wear this large, 50 millimeters. It does not wear like a 50 millimeter watch. Although obviously you do have a row of crown guards and pushers, but that's kind of the design here. It looks like a Royal Oak offshore, I guess is what they were kind of going for. The lug to lug, obviously you have an integrated bracelet here. Let's call it, and I'm catching the ends of the actual case itself. Well, the end link, I guess, 56.8. So you have a very big, effective lug to lug. And then the case itself is 52.2. You have a very large crown, and that is 8.9 millimeters. Again, that does screw in. It is titanium grade 5 and ceramic. And then the biggest measurement here, I would say 17.2 millimeters thick. But again, you're getting a very complicated watch. In fact, when this watch came out, it was, I believe, the second most complicated watch that IWC was making, next to the Constant Force Tourbillon, which was a $268,000 watch, somewhere in that neighborhood. This watch retailed for just under $50,000. So that gives you an idea. This is a very expensive watch, but it is a very complicated watch, and you are getting a lot for that money, even though I would say no matter what, you know, almost no watch is worth $50,000, but that's just what they were charging. Obviously, I did get this as a, not a used, this is sort of a, I guess, almost new old stock. This thing looks brand new. There's not a scratch, a mark on it. It's working perfectly. I'm gonna throw it on the time grapher. My friend Danny from Reuter Watches actually sent me a time grapher. I'm gonna throw this on the time grapher and I'll show you guys. This is very, very accurate. And I've actually not thrown it on the time grapher. I just know it's accurate because I have been wearing it for a few days and I know it is. So anyway, very quickly, it is a flyback chronograph. So the functionality of a flyback chronograph, essentially, you know, the start and stop are right here, and then the flyback here. And then if you stop it and then hit the, you know, flyback button, it'll reset to the 12 o'clock position. So essentially, now I could stop it and it'll reset. And then I could start the chronograph again like that. Very quickly, let me show you what I have on my wrist. Today I have on a watch that I am very excited to show you guys. I've spoken about the IWC on my channel many times, but I've never actually had one in for review. And now I do. And this is not just any one. This is the one with the new Caliber 400. So it is the movement that you can see from the back. It looks great. It is an awesome watch. I am really impressed with the overall quality of that watch. It's amazing. But speaking of amazing watches, here is my new IWC on my 7.5 inch wrist. This is a very light watch considering its size. Now, I'm saying it's not a light watch. It's actually a pretty heavy watch, but it's light for, you know, a watch of its stature. So there you go. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. It does look big on my wrist. It doesn't look weird, I would say, but it is a large watch. But it's like one of those watches for me. It's almost like wearing, I don't know how to say it. I want to say Your Work or something like that. It's really technical looking, and they wear big, you know, and this watch obviously wears big as well. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. This is basically a 46 millimeter watch, 45 and change. And then if you're including those crown guards, obviously it makes it even bigger. And then you have like a 50 some odd millimeter lug span. But what an incredible watch. Also, the strap is in alligator and rubber, and then you have a grade 5 titanium buckle as well. Just a lot of specs, a lot of watch. It's a lot of watch, all packed into one. It's basically everything in one, you know. I love it. I really do. I really think this is a cool watch. Anyway, very quickly, let's do a quick lume shot. Well, there is the lume. It's really nothing too crazy. Where it's applied, it's decently applied. You do have the second hand down at the 6 o'clock. The running second is lumed. It's just the counterbalance. The counterbalance on there is actually a little eye for Ingenieur. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that the hands themselves, the hour and minutes hand, those are lumed, and they put those in a glossy black, where everything else is sort of a matte black behind it, except for obviously those sapphire crystals, which are part of the dial. So it makes it a little bit more legible. It's actually a very legible watch. You'll be very, very surprised. This watch is actually very legible. The other thing is that the chronograph counters at the 12 o'clock, both of those are lumed as well. And then obviously you see the indices. Those are lumed, but you know, there aren't many, and some of them are even cut off. So there's just a little bit of lume in those, but it's decently applied, so they do hang on. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think of this watch down in the comments below. I have bought 2 Grail watches this year, one from my friend Nick at Watchbox. I will put a link to his Instagram down below. He posts so many cool watches on his Instagram, and if you are interested in any watch from Watchbox, definitely reach out to him. He's a great guy, and he'll definitely take care of you. Also this year, I did buy another watch, another Grail watch. That was the 50 Fathoms from Blancpain, the Aqualung that I bought from Roman Sheriff. That was a huge purchase for me as well. So I need to slow down a little bit this year. I did sell a lot of watches, so my next state of the collection is going to be very, very different from the previous one. There's going to be many, many changes. So I'm going to do sort of a mid-year version of my state of the collection, just to, you know, take a look at all the changes at some point. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think in the comments down below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you in the next video.